Okay, according to my knowledge, euthanasia, and I have, once I found 3 countries that did it, that was enough for me, so then I knew where to go and what to do. So the countries that I know of, and there may be more, are Switzerland, Belgium, and the Netherlands. And I would go to Switzerland for many reasons. And my name is Carla Maxwell, and I am currently 72 years of age. I have noticed that there is a rapid disintegration of my physical health, like hair falling out constantly, the vision decreasing from 1.5 to 3.5, and even that is not enough magnification now. And I think reading is such an essential thing for me. I think if I could not read, if I could not see, I think I could handle most things, but to be able to not see is pretty essential for my well-being. My mother, for example, started disintegrating at the year 72 as well. And she began, and then of course pills were added, and more pills were added, and more pills were added. And she's now at 93 living zombie state in a home, sort of mindlessly watching television. And every time I visit, she pleads with me constantly that she thinks of dying, that this is kind of a hell. She feels she's in a prison. It's quite hard to visit her because her demand for someone helping her suicide lasts the duration of my visiting with her, whether it's 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. That is a constant demand, which of course I'm unable to meet. However, the idea of following in her footsteps and sitting in some little prison thinking of how to commit suicide on a daily basis is not something I look forward to. And that's the point of time that I don't want to get into. I will do it before that time comes.
Well, I guess for me, and I think this is the understanding of the church, is that euthanasia means the actual willful taking of another person's life when they are in a position of extreme suffering or pain, and where the patient feels there's no other option, so they wish someone to actually end their life for them. I don't feel comfortable about that, and generally the church hasn't felt comfortable about that. I suppose it's for Christians, it's motivated by two things. One is the view that human life is a gift from God, and therefore the life itself is precious. And the second one, of course, is from the Ten Commandments. The sixth commandment is that thou shalt not kill, and that's something that should be taken very seriously, even in this situation.
For me, it was definitely a personal experience. My mother was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer in 2012. There was nothing they could do. She couldn't be operated on or have radiation therapy. She knew her life was going to end, but what she didn't want was to suffer really badly at the end. And unfortunately, she did, because under the current laws, you can't access a peaceful end. And that's why we need a law, and that's why I got involved.
If you have legislation in place that allows that, it changes something about our understanding of death and our understanding about dying, and it does lead to people who are depressed, people who are physically fragile, people who feel that they're a burden to their family, feeling that, well, I should take this option, it's going to be the best for the family, I'm just a burden to them, and I'm costing them money, and I'm costing the government money, and surely I should just take this option. And I think that's the slippery slope, and so that you start to give people the sense that life isn't as valuable as it should be.
Our opponents are trying to scare people into thinking that there'll be pressure on people to access these laws. The idea of someone wanting to leave this world because they're a burden on others, we acknowledge that that would be a small part of it, but it is nowhere near the major reason. Things like loss of autonomy are still very much at the top.
People are terrified of death, that they are not actually willing to be helpful to the people that are going through this choice process. And I'm not saying that you immediately supply them with, the way out, which they have available anyway, but they have to do it in horrible ways, not knowing quite the amount, not knowing what to do. You're not preventing anything. You're just making that choice an incredibly unpleasant and horrible one, where it could be one done with dignity and with a certain ritual around it.
One of the most disturbing statistics is that 2 Australians over the age of 85 suicide every week in Australia, and the most common method is hanging. And recently the coroner gave evidence in the Victorian inquiry on end-of-life choices. He broke down 3 times giving that evidence because he was telling that inquiry what is happening now with people who feel that they have no hope, no other way of asking for help.
Sooner or later, my family's going to be without me anyway. There's no way that I can prevent them from losing me at some stage. And surely it's up to me when that stage comes. Who else should it be up to?
It would be interesting to see just what the results are if that law was brought into force 5 years down the track. What difference has it made to society? What difference has it made to the way we think about death? I think it's a very significant shift to bring about that legislation, and I would be surprised if we found it was all positive.